Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, today, Joe Douglas did a press conference touching on a lot of hot topics for this upcoming offseason. We're going to run through them all. I just came back from a basketball game, feeling good. Let's talk some Jets. Come on.
You're looking great.
You
The
want to see my
Jets.
shorts? Look at this. Nice pink shorts, baby. Come on.
That's not a good color combo. That you look like crazy out there. But Douglas touched on a lot of different areas. If you are listening, don't forget to hit subscribe. A lot of the answers are canned answers that we expect. I tweeted out my prediction for what Joe Douglas said, and he went beat for beat what I thought he was going to say. But I think the most important takeaway to start is the Zach Wilson comment. And I was watching live and I was waiting for the beat to ask the Zach Wilson question, and they never did. It was like he was about to walk off where the random guy in the back goes, "All right, two more questions." And I'm like, "Are you not going to ask about Zach Wilson because you want to hear that soundbite?" And finally they did. And what he came back with is the cliche, we think he's going to reach his potential. We've been in constant communication with Zach. And what I took from that is it's very different than what Joe Douglas talked about Sam 2 years ago when he was in
Yeah.
purgatory. So when the Jets hired Robert Saleh, they asked a lot of Sam Darnold questions, and Douglas he's one of the favorite guys I've ever gotten to work with. A+ character, A+ talent. We think he's going to reach his potential, and he really spoke at length. Here today, he was like, "Yeah, we think Zach is going to reach his potential." Next question. And I was like, that is not the same level of confidence he had for Sam 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing would be maybe he learned his lesson saying that and then immediately trading Sam. But
It just you don't feel that same. And we'll
I
go
agree
into
with you. That's just devil's
yeah,
advocate.
yeah, and he made the quote of, once a veteran comes available that we want, we're gonna pull the trigger. Like, we're gonna pull the trigger and land a quarterback. When in the past it was, let's evaluate all options. We're gonna improve the rest of the team as well. So I think if you're looking at stock down from today, you knew that was the answer he was gonna give. But I even thought he would talk about the arm talent. We're not giving up on him. Like, even go a little bit further, and he, after a 30-second clip, was like, "All right, next question." Like, he didn't elaborate any further. But again, canned answers. I think that's what you would expect. But he started off with the Carr news and talking
Right.
about how great the visit was with Carr 2 weeks ago, maybe a week ago now. And
About a week
then
ago.
and then he then covered that they're meeting again in Mobile. Or not Mobile, I'm sorry, at the Combine. So, Mike, the fact that the Jets are meeting with Carr again, now the Saints are going to meet with him again, just continue to keep that ball rolling. And he was thrilled with how their first meeting went, and he could not speak highly enough about Carr and his character.
Yeah, one of the more interesting things I took from the whole car situation is that Douglas basically said that they want to get the quarterback situation solved as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Which, if you're an Aaron Rodgers to the Jets supporter, doesn't seem like that is the next domino to fall. So, even, and we could touch on it in a little bit with the Packers GM kind of like in the dark with everything. Super weird. So that might tell you maybe the Jets don't know as much as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
Which, so if they do go out and pull the trigger for Carr, hard to blame them. You're going to sit around
Right.
and wait for this maniac, which I might do, but
Yeah, and we can jump into Rodgers right now. The one last thing on Carr is they did ask about a contract. Was it discussed? And Douglas kind of paused and smiled and said, "Yeah, I won't get into that now," and whatever. Meaning that when Derek Carr was in the building, they definitely talked about numbers at some point. I think a report came out that they didn't discuss a contract. I'd be hard pressed to think that they didn't even at least talk about
yeah, you have
a
to
range.
think about it. If you're going to go change jobs and some other firm is going to host you and bring you through, if whatever you want to call it, a career day or whatever, you're going to talk at some point compensation, because how serious can you get without getting to that?
Right. Right. So that is, Zach Wilson comment aside, Carr comment aside, Rodgers is a huge play here. They couldn't ask Joe Douglas about Aaron Rodgers, but they did ask, "Hey, you've talked to a lot of GMs. Did you speak with the Packers GM?" And Douglas again laughs, says, "Hey, I can't get into that right now. I've talked to a lot of GMs," meaning, of course, he's talked to the Packers GMs. And I guess from my standpoint, I did think the Packers had more insight on Rodgers than they did. And as you alluded to earlier, they're in the dark, man. And that is a scary place to be, just where Aaron Rodgers was for a week and a half. How do they not know anything about where he's going to go? He's on a
Unless,
podcast tomorrow.
yeah,
Talk to me.
unless there's some kind of leverage to be gained if you're the Packers by giving out as little information as possible, which could make sense, but it didn't seem like it based on the comments. It really didn't. And then the other bit of technically Rodgers news is that the Titans basically said they're going to bring back Ryan Tannehill. So that takes away Tennessee,
And
as a potential landing spot.
Titans Rossi on Twitter got to be in shambles. Do you remember that guy? The beef I got into him. I got into it with him. So he tweeted out.
Oh, you don't get into beef with a lot of people. This is
no,
very
never.
rare.
He tweeted out that, like, have fun, Jets fans. Derek Carr is going to be your quarterback. But a week before that, tweeted, I'm hearing by my source the Jets are going after Tannehill. So he like pretends to have a source with 1,500 followers on Twitter. Just a complete loser. And I went at him, went back and forth. And then I found that tweet today of him basically saying a week ago, have fun with Derek Carr, who's the same version as Ryan Tannehill. And I'm like, hey, have fun with Ryan Tannehill.
Who is Ryan Tannehill?
Who is Ryan Tannehill, you scumbag? So
the master of receipts strikes again.
Yes, that was a big factor as well. And then the Packers not knowing where Rodgers stands is interesting compared to a year ago when that was still in limbo. They said, hey, we're not trading Aaron Rodgers. Like point blank, said it March 2022, we're not trading him. So now to be...
It feels way different this time.
Way different. Completely agree.
Yeah, and then you had Brandon Marshall tweeting out some retirement posts that people are freaking out, but was not the case.
That was weird. I did not like that for Brandon Marshall. And again,
he's basically said Aaron Rodgers is his favorite quarterback. What an unbelievable career. People are like, what is this? But he's not retiring. I guess nobody knows.
No one knows. And when you sit in a dark room, like I'm going to put myself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes. Also, he talks to Pat McAfee more than the front office of the Packers and his entire family combined, which is insane. Completely insane. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm a generational wealth type of guy, even when I retire, I can make ungodly amount of money in advertisements and
doing whatever,
podcast shows. And I sit in a dark room, and Aaron Rodgers loves playing golf, loves being like a single guy that can do whatever he wants. Is he going to want to take a full 365 days of being beat up on a football field, training, getting like, I don't know if I'm sitting in a dark room like he was, if I can leave that room and be like, I'd rather just play golf and hang out, man, I would take my millions to be fine. The biggest thing though is on the table right now. I think he can step on the field and make 50 million. Like, how do you throw that away?
I think he has 50 guaranteed, and the legacy comes into play.
Fair.
Brady's gone. He's got to to change the whole perception about him. If he wins another Super Bowl, think about what happened with Peyton Manning. What an unbelievable career. MVPs, won a Super Bowl, and Rodgers was better in the playoffs than Peyton Manning was.
Yeah.
Losing heartbreaking game after heartbreaking game. If he can win another Super Bowl, would change everything. Then all of a sudden, because remember, we were at the point where it's, Montana, Brady, Rodgers. I don't know what people think now about the top 5 quarterbacks ever. Mahomes is going to be in the conversation, 1, 2, or 3. So it would really behoove Rodgers, obviously, to win a Super Bowl. But, if he could do it, and imagine he does it with the Jets. Holy shit. The Jets there was that ridiculous report. The Jets said that Carr would be a first ballot Hall of Famer if he won a Super Bowl, which honestly wasn't the craziest thing. I just don't know if it's true. Who knows what the Jets are saying to people. But, I mean, you bring Rodgers here. You're king of New York now. You're the king of Green Bay. You're the king. You're a top 3 quarterback of all time.
If you really want to make the debate of what's the easiest path, given that the Packers aren't going to trade him in the NFC, you don't want to go to the Raiders and go through the AFC West right now. You just don't want to play Mahomes twice a year and Herbert twice a year. You could argue, though, if the Titans are a viable option, if they do move off Tannehill, which today they said they're not going to, I think the AFC South would be the spot for him to try to go win the division, get a home playoff game. But in the middle between the two is the AFC East, which the Patriots are not world beaters. I don't care if the Jets haven't beat them in forever. I don't think the Patriots are scaring anyone. The Dolphins do look vulnerable, especially given that the quarterback situation is now up in the air with 2 of his injuries. And then you got to beat the Bills, which at the end of the day, Now the Bills, I know Bills fans don't like Leslie Frazier, but he is, not going to be on the team next year. So you have a new defensive coordinator, which
Which
is
is also insane. I was in some Bills podcast circle, the Twitter circle thing. They're so mad at Leslie Frazier. They have the number 2 defense in the league over 3 years. Sick.
yeah. Well, I don't know do you see who's filling the role? Because
I didn't
you
see.
saw that report today, right?
What was it?
Leslie Frazier's stepping away for a year.
Sure. Who's filling it?
No one knows. That's what I'm like. I don't
Oh,
think they
I
know
didn't
yet.
say. I thought, yeah.
No, so he steps away. Josh Allen, the injury to the arm, even when he was healthy, Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback still, I would argue, if I'm building my team. But
I
I
think he's
thought he
2 or
was
3. I think
what
he's 2
happened?
or 3. I think he's 2 or 3.
I thought going into the year he was. You can make the argument for top 3. I think after how many red zone turnovers can you have? How many times can you make a boneheaded play? Like everyone goes through those stretches. Maybe he's closer to 4 or 5, which is a lot better than 2, 3. And if you keep regressing a little bit, then you're where Lamar Jackson was looked at as a top 4. Now he's a top 8 quarterback. And just keep moving down the ladder, please, because that would help the Jets in the long term.
Yes, 2 things with the Bills also. Teams don't just win divisions for 20 years in a row like the Patriots did. It just doesn't happen. And the Bills are well coached. Sean McDermott seems like a terrific coach, but we'll see. Good luck to Josh Allen when you don't have the number 2 defense as well as all this ridiculous, Diggs and all these maniac guys. So we'll see. I agree. I think things are softening up in the AFC East.
Which is good.
Right.
And then go ahead.
No, that's it. It's great.
Douglas had a few more. The first one being a Quinnen extension. I think last time around when they picked up his 5th year, and even at the end of the year, he hasn't started the contract negotiations. I think Nicole Lynn is Quinnen's agent, who's very active on Twitter. Seems like a great agent. And Douglas said that they've made good strides in the extension, which is obviously a positive news. You don't want to hear how far apart, like the Giants with Daniel Jones, these reports of how far apart they are. The fact that they're moving towards a Quinnen extension after having a just unbelievable top 5 season you could ask for a defensive player for the Jets. I'm happy that they're moving forward. Nothing yet, but always a good sign.
Yeah, and people want to talk about Muhammad Wilkerson. I was very adamant that the Jets re-signed Wilkerson. You could make a case that it's a little bit similar. I don't know. Quinnen seems like a terrific leader. He has his brother in the building as well. He says all the right things. He's a happy guy. I don't think he's the kind of guy who's going to take the bag and become a scumbag. So we said before the season, Quinnen, first 3 years, he's playing well, not living up to his draft position, but this year need to take a leap, took more than a leap, was just unbelievable. Should have been more in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, and you made a really good distinction with the difference between him and Wilkerson. Even like Richardson, I remember Sheldon Richardson after game 14 of his NFL career was like, at the end of the day, like, I got to start getting paid. It's like, dude, you're on. Like, what are we doing here? I remember him saying it after the game. And then Quinnen, who has been on horrific Jet teams, like truly 2019 losing, being 1-7, 2020 horrific, 2021 horrific. Even through all that, it wasn't, this team sucks. I want to request a trade. I need to get out of here. I'm not having my full potential. He's like, I want to be here and build this the right way and make this team better. And good on Quinnen. He deserves every dollar he's going to get.
The closest he came to anything controversial was the airport thing, which was not really his fault. He didn't know the rule. And then he's on the sideline. They're saying that he's tired, but he's not. That's it.
Yeah.
Quinnen, 4 years in New York. That's tough.
Quinnen, bringing the gun to the airport. I truly believe he just was like, I didn't know the law. Like, my bad. I just have a gun in an airport. Like, it's so bad. But I remember that happened. I forget when that happened, but I tweeted out the handshake meme of like Joe Douglas, Quinnen Williams. It was like bringing weapons to the Jets. Like, that was like a meme that blew up during that time. So Quinnen, good news. And then Mekhi Becton, they asked a question about picking up his 5th year. We are both in the camp that you're not going to pick up Mekhi Becton's 5th year. You're going to have him play out this year.
And we're so optimistic about Becton. He looks great.
Did I say Quinnen?
I said Becton. Okay. You said Becton. We're very optimistic about Becton. He looks great. But you have to see a little more before you pick up that option. The 5th year option for the 11th pick in the draft is not a joke.
I wonder what would have happened if.
Or was he 13? Was he 13 or 11?
He was 11.
Oh, worst was 13. That's what it was. Yeah.
I wonder a hypothetical what if world if Becton had his 2020 campaign, had a good 2021 campaign, like mirrored what he did in 2020,
And
and
then
then
got
was
hurt.
out for the year in 2022, would they have picked up his fifth year?
Yeah, I think so. I do. I really do. Depends
Yeah.
what the injury was. If he pulled his hamstring and missed the whole season, or if he was like Ike Davis and the Mets who fell down trying to catch a pop up and then never played again, then maybe not. But the guy did have some tough injuries. He got rolled up on, um, you know, tear a muscle and before the season is tough. So I think they would have, if he, but that's a lot more tape. That's saying he's more than even doubled what he's done already. And he's a terrific left tackle in football or right tackle. You're going to pick up that option. It's tough. But the Jets showed faith and, keep him around and start him and he plays well. Hopefully he's not as annoying about it as well. And there could be some kind of contract extension anyway.
Hopefully. And then sticking at tackle, the last big news coming out of it was the Jets want Dwayne Brown back. I think we're both proponents of. Felt like Dwayne Brown was a steady guy that you throw in there and that can do his job, leader in the locker room. So I'm all in on bringing Dwayne Brown back for one more year. He is under contract anyway, but it depends if he wants to retire and get healthy.
I just don't see how if you go into the season again with Mekhi Becton, Dwayne Brown, Max Mitchell, AVT, you can't have the four of them start all the games at tackle. Because what happened last year was ridiculous, with 6 tackles in the same spot getting hurt. So, and even if you don't want to play AVT at tackle, that could be your backup option. You can have Max Mitchell be your swing tackle. You can go into the season with Dwayne Brown, who was hurt last year, who will probably be better this year, coming off a Pro Bowl season the year prior, played through a vicious injury last year, very tough, could have retired, didn't do it. And Becton, those guys should be able to hold down the spots. And then if things go wrong, then you can move AVT over. Then you could play a Max Mitchell. I think that's fine. I'm sure the Jets will do something else. You get some other kind of depth in there. But if you don't want to go crazy, I'm more comfortable, I think, than most people without a massive offensive line upgrade.
Yeah, stay healthy. It's insane that the defense this year was otherworldly healthy. Like the Jets defense was just consistently healthy. The stars played every game for the most part. And then you look at the offensive line, you're like, what the hell happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then you add in Breece Hall. It's like, dude, come on.
Too much. And Zach Wilson, your quarterback, gets hurt in the preseason. It's not, it's tough, even though it probably helped us. But I don't know if you're going to win that Browns game if Joe Flacco doesn't do whatever the hell he did. But also, and the Jets, just to be clear with the offensive line, you do have to do something at center. That is without being, goes without saying. So,
and you can't just say take a center on day 3, like day 2, so a second or third round pick. I've been saying for like 4 years to do that, and it's not always that easy. Guys don't fall that low, or there's a reason why that they're not picked there.
Or they could take a center and then you don't draft Breece Hall, stuff like that. So
yeah, no, it's a scenario which I understand why they're not doing. Like I think was it 2020, Matt Hennessy out of Temple. So Thomas Hennessy's brother. I was like, they need to draft him. I think he went to, I want to say Atlanta. I don't even know if he's like, I don't know like his starting role right now. So,
but then everyone's like, we should have taken Creed Humphrey. You're like, all right, probably.
I wanted Creed Humphrey really bad. Yeah. But
we also wanted Tyler Baidez. How do we say it?
Baidez.
Baidez on the Cowboys. Yeah.
And then Wyatt Davis went to the Chiefs.
Wyatt Teller's the guy in the Browns. And Wyatt is Adam Gase's burner account on Twitter.
Yes. And one last thing. This is just honesty hour between Mike and I, that we usually will text each other a tweet that we think might cross the line a little too far. And 9 out of 10 times we're like, hey, probably not the move to do that. And the one time that we let it go through, it usually ends up being really bad for us. Yeah. This isn't like one of those tweets. I don't like shitting on our own players. I really don't.
No.
I think we have a big enough like following where we don't want to provide negativity. But I have a pretty good tweet idea. And it's the scene from Rudy where all the players are walking in and putting their jersey on the desk. And I want to do like Jets players if Zach Wilson is the starting quarterback week 1 next year. And it really will do numbies. It'll pop off. But I feel like it's too negative. It's negative energy we don't need.
It's hypocritical because we are the guys that are like, people are hating on Darnold and all this stuff. And then we're just going to like do it the next year with Zach Wilson. But the thing with Darnold, he wasn't annoying and an asshole about it. He just didn't play very well and had the worst coach ever. Zach Wilson ruined our playoff chances because I don't know. He has to run backwards 15 yards and throw the ball out of bounds, or not try to throw the ball out of bounds, and not make it.
I think I'm going to keep in the drafts. I think I'm going to keep in the drafts. And then if you're listening this far and you send it out there, God willing, right?
You're definitely going to send.
I will send it if Zach like does something to piss me off, but he doesn't have social media. He has a team that runs his accounts. And also I check every night. Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr's wife, Heather Carr, they're following. I keep trying to see if they follow the Jets, anyone from New York, any player. I'm trying to see if the Packers unfollow Rodgers or Rodgers unfollows the Packers. I'm staying in there,
waiting for the tweet where Rodgers has deleted the Packers from his Instagram bio.
It's tough because people start doing it too much. I did it where I had Lisa Ann. I faked that she liked Zach Wilson's Instagram, and it got 25,000 likes. It was my most liked tweet ever, and it was a clear like photoshopped. The hardest part about that is you have to find a photo that Lisa Ann liked, and she doesn't like any photos. So I was like, I went to like her, I found like her best friend, her Instagram, and she liked the photo, so that then I can screenshot Lisa Ann liked photo and then embed it on the Zach. It took like 2 hours to do, and then it was worth it.
So worth it.
All right, we covered a lot. Mike, what else? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, the only other things that I could think of going into the offseason, I know Joe Douglas made a joke about the safety position.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to do something. I'm happy if Whitehead's the strong safety. We've spoken about Tony Adams look good at the end of the season at free safety, and he made the team to start the year, which was surprising. Wide receiver is going to be interesting, what they want to do with Elijah Moore and Corey Davis. I mean, Elijah Moore is, by all accounts, going to be on the team. Even though he's an asshole. And Corey Davis seems like a better option than a lot of these guys in free agency. Do you see that report that the Jacoby Myers is going to demand like 18 to 20 million bucks a year?
I did not see that.
Oh, I mean, it's similar. Remember, the same kind of thing happened with Robbie Anderson. It's very similar guys statistically at this point in their career, except Robbie.
That's not his name. Mike, please be mindful.
Oh, excuse me. Chosen Anderson.
Be mindful of his governance.
But at least Chosen Anderson didn't throw the ball backwards 15 yards and ruin the entire season for his team. That's the worst play ever. Is the Jacoby Myers Chandler Jones play this year? It's unbelievable.
I tweeted it out the other day. It is
the other day.
I tweeted it out. You got it has like 3,000 likes. I was like, it is 1,000 times worse. I think I put 1 million times worth with like a million zeros than the butt fumble. It is not. It ruined their playoff chance. Not even close. But ESPN ran the butt fumble on the worst top 10 plays
for 2 years
for a decade.
I fucking bullshit. This is why we had to make our accounts. This is what we have to
fight back the narrative.
Fight the narrative. Fake news. God damn.
Stupid. All right. I think that's it. We covered a lot. Good video. If you did make it this far, don't forget to hit subscribe. Mike, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
Take care.